This song's about the end. Here's what we're starting with here.
Right on.
Yeah, this song's ending, so I'm going to plug you up. We'll be quiet on set for just 1 second. Yeah. That was Alice Donut from Donut Comes Alive, Green Pea Soup, one of my favorite albums of all time from the Alternative Tentacles record label. And we've got with us Dominic Davi. Is that Davi? Davi, how about
Davi?
All right.
Davi, you're close.
Let me turn you up there.
There we go.
Sorry, you weren't turned up.
It's good. It's probably best to start me there. Start quiet, keep me out of just keep it down.
Yeah.
Davi is the name.
Davi.
Okay, cool.
Well, here in East Tennessee, we say Davy. So.
You know what? And that's acceptable. That's acceptable.
All right. Yeah. I reached out to you recently to talk to you about coming on and sharing some music with us. I've got a few older songs lined up, but you sent us a big list of some new stuff that's going to come out pretty soon on a comp. And so we're excited to share that too. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your history? I know you play in Tsunami Bombs and how you ended up wrapped up in the Tentacles.
Yes, how the tentacles grab you and pull you in.
Yeah.
I've been in a bunch of different punk bands over the years. I started Tsunami Bomb back in 1999, 98, and I toured like crazy. That's a band that kind of got locked in with the whole Warp Tour scene at one point. So we started doing more and more Warp Tours, and that went really well. So like Tsunami Bomb did pretty good, and that was kind of the punk band most people know me from. I'm also in a band called Loud Graves that I started with a bunch of people that I've known for years, and that has a new album coming out on Rad Girlfriend Records, and I feel like it sounds like a Tsunami Bomb little sibling of Tsunami Bomb. But yeah, so I've just been in the punk scene forever. Kind of just grew up with it, like you guys, just kind of like loving different, a bunch of different bands and found myself and finally kind of went like, oh, I want to be on stage and be a part of that. And
Yeah.
I'd always wanted, to work at a record label but I didn't know how. Like I don't know how you find your way to that. But when Tsunami Bomb ended up getting picked up eventually by Kung Fu Records after we played with the Vandals. And so we had a contract with Kung Fu Records and we put out a few records with them. And then years later, I started getting involved with them because they needed somebody to help them with their. First, they came to me because they had lost the hard drive that had all of the album covers and album art on it.
Oh no.
So they knew I was an illustrator and graphic designer, and they're like, "Hey, could you help us restore all these Vandals records and Atari's records, sort of Jelly Beans, all the bands that the Kung Fu Records had?" So I said, "Yeah, no problem." So I started working on that project of reassembling all of the art, and it's kind of neat because now a lot of the classic Vandals records has my name on them.
Oh wow,
cool.
Because I had to rebuild.
Yeah.
I had to rebuild the art, so now I have like an inserted credit, and I'm like, a legendary album, Peace Through Vandalism. I'm on it now, so that's kind of neat. But then working with them, I realized they did not have anybody working their social media. They didn't have anyone working any of their marketing. So I offered as a side, like, hey, if you need help with this, I'll help you. And so they said, you got it. And so then they started hiring me to help bring the label kind of back online in a sense, because the label had kind of gone dormant and then they were trying to put out everything again. And then they wanted to, help. They wanted my help pushing the Vandals and Kung Fu Records. So I started doing that. And I didn't do anything crazy. I mean, anybody who knows how to use social media, you kind of but they weren't, a lot of the people there weren't doing that. And so immediately there was a great response. Like I built up a mailing list. People were interacting with the Vandals' social media. They were interacting with their website. I built new sites for them and everything went really well. And they saw a big jump in sales and in interactions. And then like it was kind of neat because even Joe Escalante was like the bass player for the Vandals was like, yeah, we're getting offers like more money. And it I guess it's this. So that went really well. And I I heard, and then eventually that label ended up changing hands, and Cleopatra Records took it over. But around that same time, so my kind of like contract with them was done. Like they didn't really need my help anymore. And around that same time, a musician that I knew by the name of Jesse Townley, who was better known as Jesse Luscious, who was the singer for Frisk, The Criminals, a bunch of different bands, Pathogens. He was the general manager at Alternative Tentacles, and somebody let me know that they were hiring. They were looking for a marketing person, and you know, I did marketing for Kung Fu, which was really just me making a website and running their social media. And I kind of thought, well, that would be awesome. I guess I'll just fake it until I make it. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to lose anything by applying. They could always tell me no. And then they brought me in for a meeting, and Jesse and I had known each other, so we started talking, and we got along really well. And then he brought me over to meet Jello, and that was a very interesting interview. But I guess I worked that out that worked, and then they hired me on. So I became the marketing director, or promotions person, head of promotions for Alternative Tentacles, which was wild because
Yeah.
I've worked with Fat Records. I put records out on Fat. I put records out on Kung Fu Records, and I'd work with them, and I have all this respect for those labels. I had met people who worked for Epitaph. I've worked in this realm, but now all of a sudden, like Alternative Tentacles, it's a little bit different because you're dealing with this incredible label that, unlike the others, was just so like older and a little bit more venerable, and so both infamous and legendary.
Yeah.
So it was a little like intimidating. And I worked there for a couple years as the marketing director, and then I stepped away. Um, I got another offer, and then some different things were changing, and so it just made sense for me to move on, even though it was tough to move to say goodbye to Alternative Tentacles. Um, and then a couple years later, around 2017, because I think I left in 2014, like 2 or 3 years later, uh, I was asked to, Jesse contacted me. I had just gotten laid off from a job in radio. I was the art director at a radio station, which a lot of people made jokes about. So it's like, oh, you do visuals for radio. And I was like, yes, I do. mostly working with mostly working with sales and doing their website stuff, but and social media. But then I had gotten laid off on that. They had done a bunch of cuts, and so I got laid off. And he was like, "How would you like to come back and be the general manager at Alternative Tentacles?" And I was like, "Wow, okay." Another moment where I'm like, "I guess I'll fake it until I make it." And I talked to Jello. I'd already, Jello and I were good friends, and it was all good. And I knew the label, and I outlined my ideas for it, and so I took it over. And it had been struggling, and I, completely redid their website. I redid the way we approached a lot of our music, and I got to bring in a bunch of different bands, and then to wrap up a long-winded story, I had a stroke actually in 2002, 2022, sorry. And it crippled me. And then Jello and Alternative Tentacles was really kind. They were like, you don't need to go on disability. We'll take care of you. They put me on kind of minimal work, and they kind of took care of me while I was really hurt. And AT doesn't make a lot of money, but they still Jello made sure to make the room for me to take care of me, and the staff stepped up and took over a lot of my duties for a while. And then I ended up I got to a point where I was like stronger, and I was able to talk. And I realized I needed to hire somebody to fill the general manager position. So I was able to look out and find Freya Hausman, now Freya Yamamoto, who took over as the new general manager, and she's been doing a fantastic job. So I stepped away, and by this point, my band Tsunami Bomb is signed to Alternative Tentacles, which is another weird story. But because working there does not get you signed there, that was weird. But then they asked me to come back a couple months later to see if I could help with the publicity again and kind of be a mentor. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm back as the marketing director of Alternative Tentacles, and I kind of mentored the general manager that I hired to replace me, and she's doing a fantastic job. So it was kind of neat to. It was actually a good situation where I get to come back and see the person that I hired to take over for me and watch them succeed.
Yeah.
And which is great because it would have been really awkward if she'd have been terrible. And, but so that's it. That's who I am, and that's my connection with Alternative Tentacles. I've been working with the label for a long time now, and through ups and downs, and it's been a singular honor of my life to be able to be fortunate enough to take part in something so important
Yeah.
to me and to the scene. So I try to take it as serious as that is.
That's great. Yeah, my introduction to punk was kind of a four-part thing. When I was 12, my dad is a preacher, and he's actually a cool guy. But I was going to some church that he ended up not going to because he hated all the politics of it. But there was some youth minister who was doing, satanic music, and he played "I Kill Children" by Dead Kennedys, and
you were like, "What?"
Yeah, but I was like, "This is an awesome song. I'd never heard anything like that." And so then, that was I was 12, and then a year after that, somebody gave me a handmade compilation that had another Dead Kennedy song, and then I got a Touch and Go compilation, the God's Favorite Dog, which is an amazing compilation. It's got Butthole Surfers and Big Black and Scratch Acid and Killdozer, all kinds of great stuff. And then Let Them Eat Jelly Beans, which was
Right.
Great.
just a classic. The stuff on that album is amazing. But it's funny because I ran into that youth minister guy about 4 years ago. He was having dinner with my family, and I said, "I just want to thank you for introducing me to the best music on the face of the earth." And he got a kick out of that. I mean, I think he kind of felt stupid about doing that whole seminar about satanic music. But anyway, kind of funny.
That's a great entry point story. I mean, I love the stories of how people found punk rock.
Yeah.
And to be at a seminar about satanic music and going, "I love this," is one of the best entry points I've ever heard. That's fantastic. Like, I mean, you completely missed his point. But...
Right. I remember clearly also he had a John Cougar Mellencamp album.
Oh my God.
Because it had some little demons above John Cougar's.
What, really? Oh my God.
So yeah, maybe Jello and John could go on tour together sometime.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. I mean, Jack and Diane was playing Dungeons and Dragons and worshiping the devil, I guess. John Cougar Mellencamp too? Damn.
Yeah.
Tough crowd. Yeah, that's a tough church, man. Their standards.
Totally. We had a couple of other stories to tell. About a month ago, we had Steve Olson, the skateboarder, on, and he was telling us the true story of Pat Brown. You were talking about the Vandals, so he knew Pat Brown, so that was kind of funny to hear that.
Joe took me on a tour and one time when I was hanging out with him, because we're still friends, and he's like, "Oh, so this is Pat Brown's house,"
Yeah.
and he started telling me all the stories, and I mean, I was like, "He's real."
Yeah. Steve said, he wasn't really trying to hit the cops. He just panicked.
Yeah, that's what that's what Joe said. He's like, no, he was a great guy.
Yeah.
He just kind of flipped out.
Another kind of funny story is the organization I work for here, Knoxville Community Media. This is a community radio station, so anybody can have a show here. We do these community engagement concerts and had a noise artist from San Francisco. Are you in the Bay Area?
Yes, yeah.
Eviction. I don't know if you've heard of her or not, but
yes,
check her
incredible.
out.
Yeah,
we brought her here in August, and she was talking about she sees Jello at the market sometimes. And, yeah, it's always funny to hear him going, the cost of these tomatoes is just ridiculous.
That's pretty close. I have purposely stopped myself from ever doing a Jello Biafra impersonation because it's really easy to slip. And I know a story of a publicist who did her impersonation of Jello to Jello without intending.
Yeah.
And he was like, "You can't make fun of me and why I'm here. I'm right here. I gotta do this behind my back, you dumbass."
Yeah. So. That was great. And last quick Jello story. Last week we had a guy on named Carl Snow, who's an old Knoxville punk. And he was in a band called Koro. I don't know if you need to listen to the 700 Club EP. It's the most expensive punk rock EP out there because they made so few copies, and now they sell on eBay for like $1,700 for their little 7-inch. But you can get it online on YouTube or whatever. But super fast, super amazing. They played with Circle Jerks and a few other people, but he went to a Dead Kennedy show and couldn't get in because he was in high school. But he gave Jello a stack of the Koro EPs, and I guess Jello just handed them out across the West Coast, and that's how they got their fame, was just those things kind of getting scattered across California.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. That's kind of how sometimes it happens. And Jello, I got to give this to Jello. I mean, he is still a huge music fan.
Yeah.
And he's still just like that. Like when he's into something, he's into it. When he's not, he's very honest.
Right.
But it's wild. He's actually one time turned to me at a show and was like, "Do you even like music?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Am I not in the front row?" Calm down, man. I've had a long day. I actually worked. You woke up at like 3 p.m. and came to the show. I worked all day. So,
well, cool. We're here with Dominic, Davi. No, let me say it right.
You know what?
Davi.
Say it any way you want,
All
man.
right.
It's all good.
Here we are, Kickturn Party with Dominic, Davi on Radio KCM, community radio for the community, by the community. And we're going to jump into a few classic alternative Tentacles songs right now that I've got lined up. It's hard for me to pick my favorite band off of the roster. What I miss most are the horns. It seems like in the 90s, there were lots of bands with horns. But I'm going to play some of those tunes, and then we'll be right back. So kick back and enjoy. Welcome back.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Kickturn Party. Hey, we're here without Nate. Nat Bite couldn't be with us, so we're thinking about you, Nate.
Exactly.
And we hope your father's doing okay. We hope everything else is in order. We love you much and we miss you. We're here with Dominic, Davi. Davi, man, why can't I just?
I'm glad you're saying it, not me.
I know. I'm sorry, Dominic.
Don't struggle.
Dominic.
Just embrace it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Dominic
Baum,
D.
Yeah, Dominic D.
Dominic
That's what I was gonna say.
Dominic
Yeah.
Baum, who also works with Alternative Tentacles Records. We heard Twerpenstein by Tragic Mulatto, then Flipper with Ha Ha Ha, and that was from the Let Them Eat Jelly Beans compilation.
Incredible.
And then Grong Grong, Louis the Fly, who, gosh, short-lived group there. What an amazing bunch of Aussies those were.
Yeah, it's wild to me the bands that Jello has found and nurtured over the years. Unlike any other record label, Alternative Tentacles has this unique thing is that it has purposely never had a sound.
Yeah,
There is no alternative tentacles sound, and that's on purpose. You're listening to the varied and unpredictable interests of one curating record music fan who has created, and that is the only unifying concept, is that he has taken things and along the way I think he's developed this concept of, if we don't put this out, who will? And that's his approach. It's like he's looking for things that are unique, that have their own voice, that are not like anything else out there, and that's what he seeks out and tries to help nurture. And it's created in a record label that's unlike any other punk rock record label that I could think of. It's just its own thing altogether.
yeah, totally. I remember so many different sounding bands like Evan Johns and the H Bombs, for example. When that Rolling Through the Night album came out, you hear a lot of that kind of music now, that sort of rockabilly, punkabilly, whatever. But when that came out, you didn't hear it anywhere. Um, 16 Horsepower, who is an amazing band. When I saw them pop up on the AT label, I was pretty excited about that. Very cool band. Alice Donut, I mean, case in point, good grief. Who'd ever heard anything like that?
It's funny how many things now later you look at, like you say, and it gets diluted because you hear so many that have been influenced by them and then bands that followed them. So now you go back and somebody could almost say like, well, this sounds like a lot of things I've heard. And I was like, no, it doesn't. It sounds like the first thing they all
Right.
heard.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like the impact. I remember I got to, before he passed away, I got to speak, and talk to Evan Johns, who's such a nice guy. He was
Yeah.
so amazing. I'm so sad to see him go. We were able to put out a couple CDs that he had been putting out on Alternative Tentacles before he passed, and he was really excited to get them out there, and they were really good. I mean, he was an absolute monster guitar player and brilliant musician. And
Yeah,
I really miss him. He was just an absolute gem of a person.
totally. Were you kind of around for sort of the fall and the rise of vinyl? Because there was a time I sold all of my vinyl at one time.
Yeah.
I just want CDs,
Loser.
and
Loser.
then it came back. It's outselling anything.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's been wild because yeah, I was definitely a music fan during the course of those that I mean, I remember 8 tracks, that experiment,
Yeah.
which I was like, I even remember being a little kid going, this sucks. Um, but yeah, it's been interesting because when I took over at Alternative Tentacles as the GM, I realized quickly something I didn't quite understand when, I didn't quite encounter when I was just doing marketing, that the label was still set up, even just organizational, that CDs were still the main seller. And I was like, this is not what's happening anymore.
Yeah.
Like the vinyl was like crammed over here. And it's so crazy to see how many things just shifted over to the focus on CD and how that became such a thing, and then to have vinyl take back over. So one of the things we did when I took over was we reorganized everything because vinyl was already becoming such the focus. I mean, you have to think about when you approach, this is such a weird thing to say, but it's like when you approach music as a business, um, and your intention is to create a sustainable business, which is very difficult to do because you're focused on a small group of people. Like, while there's a lot of music fans, everybody loves music, almost everybody, but most of them are listening to it on their phone So the people you're really and we do make money off of that. And the artists do make money, but a fraction. They don't the least they at least they pay, but they don't pay a lot. Like Spotify doesn't
Yeah.
pay a lot. So really you're chasing that small percentage of fan that buys physical media and cherishes it. And technically you're looking at a collector. So you're looking at somebody who is super engaged and seeking out this curated collection that they want to buy something that has value to them. It means because they love this band or they love collecting records or they love music in this way that they want to interact with this tangible physical item. So you're appealing to a very select small subsection while you're trying to introduce the music to everybody who's listening on their phone. Like you're trying to get them all to hear it. You're really trying to curate towards this smaller percentage of people who actually engage with physical media. And the cool thing that's happening now that we're seeing is a lot of the kids that are coming up and becoming music fans don't it's not they engage a lot with digital, but since they grew up with it, the uniqueness of a physical vinyl, a record, is way more interesting to them. I mean,
Yeah.
you try to think about these kids who are growing up with, they've grown up with they're growing up with tablets, they're growing up with social media, they have all the problems therein. I mean, their heads are firmly wedged up their own asses in so many ways.
Yeah.
But, and I say that with respect and pity, but they also are finding that like there's a lot of value to them in that physical media. So like you find a lot of young fans who are like, I've met kids that are teenagers going, yeah, I collect cassettes, and I'm like, why? Why do you do that? Don't do that. But eventually that person's just a vinyl fan waiting to happen. So you're
Yeah,
really
right.
so that's been really encouraging, because I think
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm
Yeah.
cassette man. I mean,
I know, no, I
some
know,
on
but
cassette.
yeah, I don't mean to knock it, but let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like, let's line it up. I mean, I got a soft spot in my heart for cassettes too, but it's I mean, there's been labels in recent years that were established around a cassette. We still do cassettes, not a lot. You got mostly it's per request. We look at which band we have and what scene they're a part of, and if they have that kind of fan base, then we do it.
Yeah.
I think we've only done it like twice recently, but we can. But the sales, at least with cassettes, we haven't seen a return yet on a bulk thing. It's really vinyl that seems to be building.
Sure.
So
Yeah, I love that. I think there's something important in, being able to take something in your hands.
yeah,
It's a connection. The organization Knoxville Community Media, we do workshops with kids with Polaroid cameras and disposable cameras and Super 8 film, and it's they know media, but when they get every time a kid gets a disposable camera, they're just like, wow, what is this? They don't even know. Where's the picture? Well, you got to wait for it. And then that anticipation it kills them, but it excites them at the same time. So we always have trouble with participation. But then when they see the result, it's almost too late at that point, but they're ready to participate. They go, oh, wow, this is exciting. Can we do this class again?
Yeah.
Well, no, not right now, but
well, it's the percentage. I mean, you're doing the same thing. You're catering to that percentage. You take this bulk group of kids, you expose them to this media, this physical, tangible thing, and then you get a certain percentage of them who get really excited by that, and that's kind of how you're doing anything with music. Even as a band, you're just grabbing, you try to expose yourself to as many people as possible, and then you try to look for a percentage of those people to be interested in what you're doing, and then a percentage of those people who will actually get up and physically obtain something. So it's the same kind of thing. You're just, you're playing percentages down to the group that is the most excited, and you kind of want to cater to them as well as continually opening the door to more of that percentage you didn't catch to come in and be interested. I mean, because what at this point, what is a label but a curator of some sort of scene to introduce you into this wider reality? I mean,
Yeah.
Alternative Tentacles serves to, and any label serves to curate this world of artists that we think are amazing, and we want to teach you about them and get you into them. And yes, there's a financial transaction to it because we have people to pay, and we want to pay our artists, and we want to be a productive business that takes care of our own and keeps everybody going. But if we were all about that, we would make different choices.
Sure.
Fundamentally, of what kind, Jello would approach this in an incredibly different fashion.
Right.
Really, our main mission statement is to curate a group of music, a diverse amount of music that we really feel is important for people to hear, and they might not hear otherwise.
That's
You
a good
know,
lead in
Yeah, exactly.
to
yeah,
some of the stuff you've sent me. So why
yeah.
don't you talk a little bit about some of that, and I'll just play a good little chunk of it.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, let's talk about like what that is. I mean, there's a bunch of different. I sent you. So what I sent, so everybody knows, is the a list of. I sent a list of music. I'm bringing it up. That is going out on a comp that we're putting together called the soundtrack to your panic attack. Uh, we
Heck yeah.
did, yeah, yeah, we did a volume one of this. So, you guys mentioned it before, like Alternative Tentacles has come out with some um, really incredible compilations over the years. But they don't, compilations don't quite sell like it used to sell, so it's hard to justify. So now we tend to just do a sampler, and that's what but we wanted to capture that ability of doing those samplers again. To help introduce people to everything we have going on. Because that's probably one of the biggest problems that Alternative Tentacles has. I say Alternative Tentacles to any punk fan, and they're gonna go Jello Biafra and the Dead Kennedys. And even ultra fans like yourself, you're gonna go Alice Donut, No Means No, DOA. You know, Grong Grong is. I was impressed of that you brought that up. That made me happy. But really, what we're trying to do nowadays is really do everything we can to encourage people to understand that we have a variety of artists that are out there, exciting, like current right now. I mean, yes, there's Tsunami Bomb, but like the Darts, Sandrider, Redshift, Dead Pioneers, Moms with Bangs, DFMK. I mean, Culture Shock. I mean, there's a lot. Like Spindrift, legendary Shack Shakers who've been around forever. It's like there's a lot of Annie Kid, we just recently released. We have a lot of artists who are out there doing stuff right now that's really interesting and can hold their own against the bands that are these legendary bands that we've had in the past. And I think it's really, they're doing exciting things. So yeah, I could go down this list and talk
Yeah.
about any of them.
Let's jump into some music, and I don't know how much time you have with us, but can you stick around for a bit?
I'm here to hang,
All
so
right.
Cool.
Good deal.
I'm excited. So I'll start off with the Darts.
Okay.
So we
Yeah.
have the originally out of Arizona, but now kind of based in the northwest of Seattle, Washington. The Darts are an all women garage rock band, and
Heck yeah.
they are absolutely incredible. I'm really excited because I have a soft spot for this band because I don't want to say discovered them because they existed before, but I brought them into the AT universe. And Jello had known the singer Nicole in some of her other bands that he had crossed paths with. and we just fell in love with them. They kind of blew up in Europe first. They've put out a couple EPs in the UK on a label called Dirty Water Records, and they still work Europe like over and over again. And they just released their um, their third album, full album on Alternative Tentacles called Boomerang this last year, and they've been just nonstop touring ever since, and they're just phenomenal. Um, Jello loves them. I love them, and they're like sharks. They could never stop moving. They just constantly are going, going, going. They attack everything, uh, like full on. They just keep going, and I'm excited because Tsunami Bomb's going to do a split 7-inch with them.
Yeah,
So that's
I
going to
love
be
a
awesome.
split.
Yeah, I'm
So
really
cool.
excited about it. We have a really cool song we're putting on it, and they have a great song, a brand new one. And so the song I brought here is off of Boomerang, their latest record, and it's called "Are You Down?"
All right, here we
All
are
right.
on a very subdued Kickturn Party. When all three of us aren't in, we don't heckle each other. Jen,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to start
I
heckling.
know,
Yes,
right?
come on.
All right,
I mean, I'll start heckling.
Yeah, heckle away. The darts. Are you down? Kickturn Party on Radio KCM. Ooh, welcome back to
Yeah.
Kickturn Party. That was Dead Pioneers with Bad Indian. Before that, you heard Redshift, The Gold Rush, and before that, Sand Rider, Aviary. And we started off that set with the Darts. Are You Down? These are all Alternative Tentacles record company.
Is that right?
Yes. Groups. And we in the break,
I broke the internet.
I had to go pee and JD messed things up, but I think you were still hearing the music. We just couldn't hear it in here. We're here with Dominic D, who tell us a little bit about some of those songs that we just heard. Oh my
Yeah, I
God,
think-
Dead Pioneers is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I think you got a nice sample of a bunch of some of the latest with that little block. So I talked about the darts beforehand. Sand Rider with Aviary, we did a 7-inch with them. That's actually that's some legacy members from uh, uh, a band that we've had at Alternative Tentacles. Sorry, I'm overcome with excitement. Akimbo. A band called Akimbo. Somebody turned my knob, and now I'm sorry. But yeah, so Sand Rider has members of a band called Akimbo that was an absolute shredding thrash punk metal band that was around on Kung Fu on Alternative Tentacles for quite some time. I highly recommend Akimbo. Sand Rider is the new project from the drummer and the original bass player from Akimbo, who now plays guitar and fronts it. They're absolutely fantastic. They did a 7-inch. They have a general theme of like Dune throughout all of their music and their art that the bass
Dune?
player, the current bass player,
The
Dune.
book.
The
Okay.
book, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
really amazing. They're really, really good. Their live show is absolutely incredible, and their drummer is absolute monster. So we got to do a 7-inch with them. They have a bunch of albums on Satanic Picnic Records. Fantastic record label. Then Redshift is an album we just put out in January
Republican
called
band, right?
Yeah, very much. They chaos is planned. They are a dark surf punk R&B jazz hybrid
Wow.
fronted by Vic Bondi, who was the lead singer of the frontman for Articles of Faith, and he's been doing it out of Chicago, and he's been doing bands forever. He's got a bunch of different incredible bands. We've done a few of his records, and he is just incredibly talented. And this is like not your parent surf music, absolutely way more hardcore, classic aspect to the whole thing, with a lot more interesting elements going on. I highly recommend it if you're a fan of hardcore, even if you're a fan of surf music and you want to hear something a little different. And you got to open mind because it's not going to sound like it's not the Ventures, but it shreds. And then You have Dead Pioneers, who we are fortunate enough, we put out a 7-inch of their single Bad Indian, which is that's the song you just heard. Dead Pioneers is a fantastic band out of Colorado. I got to play with them at the Tentacle Fest. Their frontman, Greg Deal, is a activist and artist. His art is fantastic, and he's done like TED Talks. He's done 2 TED Talks. He's absolutely brilliant, and he formed a band around just to do an art installation and kind of like do a spoken word approach over the top of it. And he's just a huge punk fan, and his band's blowing up now. And he's like, dude, I'm in my 40s. How's this happening? Um, but they're going out. They're touring Europe with Pennywise and Propagandhi in May, and they're going out. They're opening for Pearl Jam
Wow.
for a few shows. I think it's Florida, and I can't remember, but you can look online. The Dead Pioneers, absolutely great band. So that was a really good sampler of some of the latest active bands on Alternative Tentacles. So you kind of get a feel for where we are right now, which is a good thing to do to compare to where we've been. It's like, and these bands are all active. These bands are all kicking it. I mean, you have 2 bands from Seattle, 3 bands. That was 3 bands from Seattle, and then one from outside of Denver, Colorado. So
Who is I'm drawing a blank.
Uh-oh.
Who did we have on here who does stained glass now that was on Team Alva?
Murphy.
Yeah, Jim Murphy.
Jim Murphy, yeah.
He has a skateboard company that donates all their funds to building skate parks on reservations. And you were talking about Pearl Jam. I actually can't stand that band. Sorry, but
I can't either.
The bass
They're my
player,
least favorite.
the bass player is a skateboarder,
Yeah.
which I didn't know, but he is passionate about his project, and he goes out and just pours as much money as he can into building skate parks on reservations.
Wounded Knee.
Yeah, Wounded Knee skateboards.
Wounded Knee
So
skateboards.
that made me appreciate that guy.
Yeah.
Me too.
It made me feel like I'm still alive.
I am not a Pearl Jam fan, but I will admit that those guys are stand-up guys. But like the band has never spoken to me.
Right.
But it was interesting. I had Greg Deal, the singer for Dead Pioneers, on the Alternative Tentacles backcast, and he started telling me, I don't know, there's just things I didn't think about, and I feel bad that I didn't think about these things. Like, for example, he was like, you do understand that on the reservation, our entire setup is the entire setup for the tribes are based off a treaty made with the United States government. So every time the government shuts down, people die, because people on the reservation, our oldest people are sick and are young, don't get any of our prescriptions, any of the care, any of the medical needs, any of their support. All of that just freezes.
Yeah.
So every time there's this casual talk about, okay, we're shutting down the government, it's not just about a bunch of federal workers going home. That means there's no the government is shut down and is not providing the support that they agreed to do for the tribes. And every time it happens, we lose people. People die.
Wow.
And he goes, and nobody ever talks about it. They never say that that's happening. And I felt horrible, because I was like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that every time they play games like that, all of a sudden a whole bunch of people have to do without anything, because that's the setup. They don't get it any other way. This is how they've constructed their whole, like, their medical care is based off the treaty. The supplies that come to the place based off the treaty. Like, it's not just, they've been forced to deal with things with the United States government in a very particular way. So if the government shuts down, it affects them and does irreparable harm.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody talks about it, because nobody gets it. Nobody gives a shit. And it just blew my mind. So it's not hard to understand why you could be coming from that perspective and then form a punk band and have one of your songs be like, we were punk first.
Right.
And you're you're in a hard place to tell them no. But it was hilarious because at one point we're talking and he goes, yeah, so I want to ask you, so what's this about that album, was it Dead Engines?
Yeah.
Tell me about that album. And I'm like, yeah, man, that's before my time. Like, I am sorry. That's a bunch of skaters having a good time. And yeah, we put that out. We reissued it as part of a skateboard series. Yes, I understand that you wouldn't like that title.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was like, yeah.
So there's a skateboard series of music albums?
Yeah.
Really?
In the early back in the early 2000s, which we are going to reissue.
Here we go.
We did a number of classic skate releases: Los Obliviados, Free Beer, Dead Engines. There was supposed to be
We always make fun of JFA
Yeah.
too, though.
I don't blame you.
They can't skate and they can't play music, is what Matt Knight would say.
But yeah, we it's really interesting because like when I started working on Alternative Tentacles, Alternative Tentacles is a really good label to go down a rabbit hole with because you just you never know what you're gonna find. One time I pulled out a 7-inch. We had a bunch of 7-inches of this one band. I think it was called Porch, and I was like, "What is this?" I knew nothing about it, and so I put it on, and I was like, "This sounds kind of like Primus." It's like a kind of Primacy feel. And I looked at when it came out, it was like in the 90s, and I started looking around online, and then lo and behold, it was the original guitarist for Primus who left the band because they were touring too much, and he quit to be with his partner. And then now the guy plays with the Flying Burrito Brothers with Les Claypool.
Wow.
But Larry Lalonde and Primus replaced him. And he was the original guitarist. And then for a while, for a minute, he formed a band, Porch. And Jello heard it and was like, I love this. I'm going to put it out as a 7-inch. And it came out. And then, he moved on. I guess he didn't do much more. I think he did like one other album, and that was it. And I just pulled it out, and I was like, "This is awesome!"
Yeah.
What? And I had no idea. I'd never heard of this. I had no idea anything. It's a fairly innocuous cover, like you couldn't tell. And I was like, "Oh my God, it's the original guitarist from Primus. Like, how did that happen here? Like, how It's like." And Jello was like, "Oh yeah, I remember that." And I was like,
Right on.
So like, yeah, if you're looking to get distracted, start following random threads on Alternative Tentacles. You'll be blown away what's on there.
Well, cool. We're about halfway through. I hate how time flies, but we're going to jump into some new music. If you want to send us hate mail, we send t-shirts and stickers if you send us a postcard. So Kickturn Party, P.O. Box 23514, Knoxville, Tennessee 37933. Postcard, send it. Old school, tangible, something we can hold in our hands. We're here with Dominic from Alternative Tentacles record label, and we're going to jump into some more music. This is Moms with Bangs. Rega.
It's me.
Welcome back to Kickturn Party.
I may have a new favorite band.
That was Arno Core with I'm Ballsy. Before that, you heard Tsunami Bomb. I Was Betrayed. DFMK, me, Rutina, and did we Moms with Bangs?
Yeah, Moms with
That's what we
Bangs.
started out with. We're here with Dominic, Davi. Tentacles Records.
I kind
Thank
of
you.
like Dominic D. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
what I'm gonna call you now.
You know what? You can tell me whatever you want. It's fine. I am not offended. I do not mind. Whatever way you want to say it is correct.
I think that I'm Ballsy song is gonna be my new
God,
like
yeah.
morning affirmation song.
I love
Okay.
it.
In the mirror, just
So I really wanted you guys to play Arnocore because they are like, while not a traditional skate punk sound or skate punk band, they are skaters. They were skaters, and that is that is a band that came together with the concept of like, it would be funny is if we did if we became an Austrian rescue team singing the songs of the people of Austria, of the folk tales and the heroic adventures that inspire the Austrian people. And and then they proceeded to write the best adventure rock and roll albums, and they do not break character. They do not. They're not a joke. They are serious. They're a serious band. They are incredible, and their shows are insane.
Yeah.
If you can hear my voice and you liked what you hear, just 100%, go check out Arno Core. They'd be great guests. You'd have a lot of fun with them.
It's
I heard
Um,
that.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of songs like that that are so good. And all of the songs that are the Australian folk songs just happen to be every movie that Arnold Schwarzenegger has been involved in. So if that gives you an idea of what you're dealing with, I mean, you got song titles like Total Recall, Predator, I'm Ballsy, Crom, Terminator, Last Action Hero, Pumping Iron, Sixth Day, True Lies. I mean, guys, if you can hear me talk about this and you listen to Kickturn, I promise you will be entertained by Arno Core. It's worth looking into. This is a band made of this is your tribe making a band that is awesome. Listen to it. You'll love
all
it.
right.
Heck yeah.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
They may be
So-
future guests. So
Yeah.
Yeah, before that was my band. So yeah, that's an unreleased song. You guys, I think, might be the first to play
Oh,
that.
nice.
Woo.
Yeah, I Was Betrayed. We recorded that just at the end of last year. Tsunami Bomb is a female fronted with keyboards, dark punk, pop, hardcore band. We mix a lot of stuff in together to make this crazy sound, and it's a lot of fun. It's
Is
a
there
fun band to be
tour
in.
on the horizon for that?
Huh?
Is there a tour on the horizon for?
We're
Tsunami
right now we seem to be doing drop-ins, like where we kind of hit like different places and different festivals and we come out and play, and so we just kind of fly. I guess we call them fly-ins. And so no like big tour, but we could end up it just we have this thing like we're not right. I think right now we're not seeking shows, but if you ask us, we'll probably do it.
Sure.
So we're doing stuff. We're doing stuff per request, and then we come out. So we got a couple shows that we're going to be announcing here pretty soon. We have a bunch of releases coming out this year. An EP, a 7-inch that song's on. Then we're doing a split 7-inch with the Darts, and then we're doing another split EP, 3 songs with a band out in the Bay Area called the Hammer Bombs, and that's a fun one. So like we have like 3 releases coming out. So I think we're gonna film some videos and stuff and put a bunch of things out. So we're kind of setting ourselves up to play a lot more shows later in the year as all the new music comes out. Then we'll be appearing more after. But yeah, that's my band. So if you want to hear more about what I'm doing, Tsunami Bomb, that's what we're called.
That's
We're
great.
weird.
Yeah,
And
if you do a Southeast tour, if that happens, don't forget Knoxville. I mean,
Exactly.
you could do a great tour here. You could do Atlanta, Chattanooga, Knoxville, Johnson City, Lexington, Kentucky, Atlanta. I'd said Atlanta. All right. Asheville,
Yeah.
Nashville. Yeah, lots of places.
I would love that, and that's the kind of stuff we do. We will fly in and we'll hit a bunch of areas and then head home. So I'll see if you know what, I'm gonna throw that into the mix. I'll see if we can come out. That would be fun.
Come on down to the Southland.
I love it out
is-
there.
We've
Yeah.
got a great nonprofit music venue. It's been here 25 years called Pilot Light. And I mean, they've had bands play before bands are bands. And they've just been such a wonderful institution, to live in the hills of East Tennessee and to have something like that. It's special.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and just to finish out, you guys played DFMK. They're a band from Tijuana, Mexico.
Oh, wow.
They're rock and roll, and they're just an absolute monster live show. They're really fantastic. They're a big festival standby. They do the fest out in Florida a lot, and they just really made a name for themselves with incredible rock and roll show. And Jello fell in love with them on their live show. That's another band I brought in. And that song, Mi Rutina, is coming out on their new record that's dropping this year. So we'll be seeing that at the end of spring and early summer, and they're just fantastic. If you like that like dirty rock and roll punk rock, you're gonna love DFMK. They're really, really incredible. And then before that was Moms with Bangs, our newest band with Riga that's coming out on 7-inch. That's also coming out in late spring, early summer. And there are a bunch of kids from Northern California that were brought together in their high school music class that's taught by the bass player from the Mothers of Invention, Frank Zappa's bassist. And they formed this band, and Jello like fell in love with them at a random show and went to see him a few times. And he kind of feels like they bring in that King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard type of feel, where it's just like the sky's the limit. They don't follow rules. They just put together whatever they want, and they're great. They're a really great show. They're a really great group of kids. I hate calling them kids because makes me feel old going they're kids, but they're great. And I have a soft spot for them because they're from my scene where Tsunami Bomb came from. Like that's that Northern California, North Bay scene, and I think they're really great. I think they have a really bright future, and I'm really excited for their record's going to be called, their 7-inch is called Do What's Delicious. So that'll be that's them. So there's the explanation on everything you just heard, and I urge you, if you can hear my voice, check out those bands. Those are all really good. I mean, if you don't want to check out Tsunami Bomb, I understand, it'll hurt my feelings, but I get it.
Man, that's some really good stuff that I don't know where we would ever hear it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the problem.
It's amazing. This is Kickturn Party Radio, Knoxville Community Media, Radio KCM, all that good stuff. Next week, we've got the one, the only Todd Hiscock, who loves his last name or hates it. I don't know. Who's going to be curating our show. And Todd told the greatest story the other day. He said, we're in this group text thread, and it was like midnight. My phone goes, ba-ding, and it's Todd. And he said, do you know how many times I was sitting in my prison cell and I had somebody walk in and say, hey, man, I'll give you a pack of coffee and some sugars if you'll tattoo self-made on me. I was like, why are you telling this story, Todd? But yeah, Todd did some time. Sorry, Todd, if you're listening. I'm telling the world. But I love the self-made story. I think that's your next album title.
Yeah,
Todd Hiscock, Self-Made.
It's definitely going to be a trip.
Yeah, and we've also got Watt 4 Festival coming up next weekend, which is 3 days of free rock and roll here in Knoxville at the Pilot Light that I was just talking about. And it's kind of going on at the same time the Big Ears Festival is going on. So lots of stuff happening this coming weekend.
And Jason was saying that most of the bands are local.
Yeah, all the bands are local this year. They came from kind of around the region last time, but most of them are local. Eviction's actually going to be at Big Ears.
Really?
I don't know if you knew that or
no
not.
Kidding.
Yeah.
I need to bring some more Sharpie juice.
Yeah, he gave her a jug of moonshine and she called it Sharpie juice.
It's like, it smells just like Sharpies. I'm like, oh God, you've ruined me forever. And she's right. It does smell like Sharpies.
So what is this is probably a stupid general question, but how is the music scene in San Francisco in general? Are there a lot of thriving clubs and festivals? I mean, what's going on there music
There's
wise.
never enough there's never enough thriving clubs, I think.
Yeah,
There's a good healthy scene going on here. Um Still, it hanging on. I mean, it's expensive out here and there's such a narrow um such a narrow line between doing well and saying goodbye
Hmm.
forever. So it's
yeah,
like it's tough. It's a tough business. Hospitality is a tough business anyway, but um when you have stuff that's built around shows, it's always a trick. Um, but it's really spread out. So that's like it makes like we have a festival called like Noise Pop that happens every year that it spreads out all over San Francisco. So it's but because there's not really a neighborhood in San Francisco or in the Bay Area that has a lot of clubs, they're all spread
Mm.
out. And
right.
that's kind of like there's a strength there, but it's also a weakness because you can't really like put together some crazy thing that all happens in the neighborhood where everyone can walk to
Hmm.
everything. So that makes it kind of hard. But despite that, excuse me, despite that, there's a really good scene of punk rock. I mean, you have the East Bay Gilman scene built around 924 Gilman that that yielded bands in the past like Green Day, obviously, and but that scene is still really strong. Um, you have the Lower East Bay scene, you have the North Bay scene where Tsunami Bomb and bands like Ceremony, AFI, and now Moms with Bangs come from. You have the San Francisco scene that's really strong with that's always been really diverse, and can lean towards kind of the alternative rock, whatever that means, and how
Yeah.
that threads through. And then you have a South Bay scene that's the South Bay scene has been doing a little bit harder. There's like a very few clubs down there now. There used to be a bunch, but it just sort of narrowed down to like one or two. So, but
South Bay would be what? Like,
San Jose,
yeah.
you're
Well,
looking
we
at
just
Campbell.
experienced that in San Jose. The
San
decline.
Jose was a
The
freaking ghost
decline.
town. So weird.
Hmm.
Everything was boarded up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be, now it's really tech heavy, um, and but not real show heavy. I mean, the tech boom that happened in San Francisco, it was kind of dubious because, I mean, how do you say this? They're boring. Uh, they work a lot
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
they don't really party. So the last couple years of that, the last like 5, 10 years has been a very boring aspect. You didn't get a lot of people who were like keeping San Francisco weird.
Hmm.
Um,
Skateboarders.
yeah, you had a lot of people just working and trying, there was such a culture until the pandemic hit, there was such a culture of like, how can we hire you and give you everything you need to never put your computer down?
Ugh,
And with that culture going on, you don't have a lot of people going to shows.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was a struggle there for a little bit. But ultimately, post pandemic show attendance, I think overall at first exploded, and then I think now we're seeing a lot of the economy's difficulties kind of being apparent because I feel like we've had a lot of show attendance is kind of down across the country. A lot of people are I've seen it with my own bands. At first I was kind of like, shit. I don't know. People don't care as much. Like, what's going on? We used to sell this out, and now it's like struggling. But then I realized, like, our booking agency for Tsunami Bomb, Atomic, they sent out a thing that was like, listen, attendance is down across the board. If you're not promoting your tour, if you're not promoting your shows actively, we will drop you.
Hmm.
If you don't participate. Not us, but like they sent this to all their artists, and they have big artists to smaller up and comers. Tons of agents around the country, and they straight up said like you have to promote your shows, and if you're not doing that, we're
Yeah.
doing our best. You have to do your best. And I thought it was interesting that they said that. So we've seen it too with Alternative Tentacles. Like we put on events and shows, and we've had a pretty good run of them, because we can make it an event. We have kind of a further reach than some of the bands individually themselves. So we've started doing shows to kind of help that, to help the bands and give them a reason to show up. And right now we're starting to look at like, we did a big show in Denver last year in August, called the Tentacle Fest. Um, Rocky Mountain Tentacle Fest, and we had a bunch of bands in this amphitheater, and it was great. Like about 5,000 people came, and it was a really fantastic show. So we're looking at doing that again. Like we have a bunch of bands in Seattle, so we want to put one on there. So we're trying to, I'm trying to encourage bands to pair up and tour so we can promote that tour more than just like, oh, you're doing a run of shows. Like let's put some AT bands together and run them together. So I think like everywhere, the scene, people are starting to be, you could definitely tell that people don't have as much money to spend.
Right.
And so you're competing with a lot of different things in order to get people to come out. It's the same problem I just talked about selling records. Like you're just trying to get those people and convince them that it's worth spending their money on shows. And so anything we can do to the art for the artists to help that happen and
We
give
start
them
the
a
shows
reason.
at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Start them at 8 so I can be in bed by 10 or 11.
How about,
There was
how
a
about 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a comedian that had a whole bit based around, I forget his name, but he had a whole bit based around like, hey, listen, I'm into music. I like punk, I like metal, I like rock, I like all these things. Like, I go to shows and I still go to shows, but how about we do the senior citizens discount? Like
Yeah.
let me come to your sound check. I'll
Yeah.
come. I don't care about the opening bands. I've done my time. I came for you. Tell you what, I'll go to your sound check. You make some money off the ticket. I go home in time to pick up my kids.
Exactly.
Let the kids go see the opening acts and let them struggle. You don't want me there. I make it uncool. I'll come early.
I went to a show the other night. It was 1:30, and it's like I was walking back to the car, and I'm going, my God, I got to go to work in like 3.5 hours.
Ooh.
And I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
old, and it's
Yeah.
like, why can't we start at 8, or
Well,
something?
Let's have a concert now. All right, let's jump back into some more music.
I heard that. Amen,
Enjoy
brother.
it,
Right.
because I've got to pee again. Amen, brother. I'm drinking all these soda waters.
I see how this show is set up. Like it's all based around your bathroom breaks.
It is. All right, we're gonna play Culture Shock with King and move on from there. Dominic, Davi from Alternative Tentacles on Kickturn Party. Oh wow, No Means No, one of my
Yeah.
favorites. It's yes is yes with No Means No for me. We've been here for almost 2 hours with Dominic Davi from Alternative Tentacles Records in San Francisco, California. Final words. What you got?
I think now more than ever it's really important to expose ourselves to as many different viewpoints and perspectives as possible. And I think that Alternative Tentacles is a really good way to do that. I think that, it was really kind of fun to come here, and even for you guys who are music fans and you love, you asked me to be here because you love Alternative Tentacles like I do, and you grew up with Alternative Tentacles like I do, and I was still able to bring you some bands that you were like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I really think that, the mission statement that Jello Biafra set out with back in 1979, which is crazy to think about,
Yeah.
it still holds true today, is that he really wants to create a curated selection of music that deserves to be heard and is as creative and varied as possible. And I think that He purposely looks for bands that don't just try to sound like another band, that try to take what their influences and pull as many influences together as possible to create something new and exciting and different. And I'm going to tell you, if you can hear my voice, you're not going to like everything on AT, because it's nothing on AT sounds like anything else on AT. But you will find, if you like music, this is a collector's label. This is a label that for years has really worked hard to curate, a really fascinating group of artists. And I'm really lucky to be able to work here. I feel all of us who work at AT feel that responsibility that this has been going on for so long. So it's important that we continue and, take a look around, just explore the roster. It's worth looking at. There's a lot, as you can hear in this show, there's a lot here. And, you might be surprised what you find. You might be blown away by what you like. You're not going to like everything, but you're not supposed to. But you might find your next favorite thing here.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
That's
I think
great.
I have. I think I already have.
Well, I've got a whole bunch of information. I got to pack. You know what? I've got a
Some-
weird
Yeah.
thing on my voice.
Oh,
You
wow.
messed me up
Oh,
again,
wow, wow.
lady.
His mic is
Phenomenon.
I got to pack some information in. So
Phenomenon.
stop. Kickturn Party, Radio KCM. You heard several songs before that. You heard Jello Biafra and the Guantanamo School of Medicine. No, that was earlier. I thought it was Jello Biafra and DOA. No, that was it. Yeah.
Okay.
With Blunder, Legendary Shack Shakers, No Means No. We're about out of time. Write us at Kickturn Party at P.O. Box 23514, Knoxville, Tennessee 37933. Thank you, Alternative Tentacles.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Dominic, Davi, and I'm going to end with Evan Johns and the H Bombs. Rolling through the night. Good night. Fear of Music is next.
Yes. Man, that. It just seems like we were here for like 30 minutes.
I know.
It just
Yeah.
flew by, man.
It did. That felt really short. I'm shocked that was as much time. Guys, it
It
was
was a fascinating conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, I can't thank you enough.
Yeah, heck yeah,
Email me
man.
your address. Want to send you a thank you package.
it was absolutely wonderful meeting you all. I had a great time. It did only feel like 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, it was crazy.
Oh, how nice. Bring your tour down here.
Yeah.
Bring us some good tunes,
I
man.
will. I will. I'll talk to the band and everybody. I'll see if I can get us out there.
All right, you have a good night.
So good to meet you.
See ya.
Good to meet you too. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much.
Dude, bye.